News Services Division of Akashvani presents Northeast Diary.
Good evening. Welcome to this edition of Northeast Diary, apprising about news, art and culture and heritage from India's unexplored Northeast region. Today we bring you a report on Grenoble, France, where Meghalaya was invited to be a participant at the Cities in Transition Biennial 2023. You will also get to know about the life and culture of the tea garden community of Assam. But for now, let's go over to Sikkim, which recently hosted Youth Men's National Boxing Championship 2023. The 6th Youth Men's National Boxing Championship 2023 was held in Sikkim during 13th and 18th June at the Paljor Stadium in Gangtok. While hosting the national level event, this is expected to boost interest in boxing and sports in Sikkim. Boxing Federation of India appreciated management of championship, highlighting that it was one of the finest examples of event organization at the national level. A report.
Sikkim Chief Minister P.S. Tamang, his cabinet colleagues Sonam Lama, Ellen Sharma and M. Sharma, and Olympian boxer Arjun Awardee and President of Sikkim Amateur Boxing Association Jaslal Pradhan were present at the closing ceremony of the 6th Youth Men's National Boxing Championship in Gangtok. Speaking on the occasion, Mr. Tamang expressed optimism for Sikkim's future and emphasized on his government's effort to foster growth of sports. He expressed pride in hosting a national level championship and receiving positive feedback from participating states. The Chief Minister reiterated the state government's unwavering commitment to elevate the sports fraternity and recognizing its contribution at the national level. He announced to honor the contribution of Olympian boxer Jaslal Pradhan with the establishment of the state-of-the-art Jaslal Pradhan Boxing Academy. He expressed hope that the academy would nurture aspiring athletes. The Chief Minister urged the Sikkim Amateur Boxing Association and concerned departments to identify and finalize the project location. With Saket Sarkar, this is Tashung Mubutia for Akashvani News, Sikkim.
Tea industry is one of India's oldest and most organized sector. The tea produced in India is among the finest in the world because of its geographical factor, heavy investment in tea processing units, continuous innovation supported by strategic market expansion. India's leading states in respect to tea industry are Assam and West Bengal. Tea plantation in Assam dates back to the colonial history. The tea industry has become a part of Assam's way of life with major contributions in the socio-economic sphere of the state. It is a sacrifice, hard toil of the workers of the tea community at large, which gives shape to the present-day tea industry of India and gives recognition to India to be the proud possessor of the finest tea in the world. Let's have a peek into the life and culture of tea garden community of Assam.
In the early part of the 19th century, the British explorers and adventurers, in course of their search for a suitable colony, landed up in Assam, which had not yet gone under the British rule, and it was in Assam that they struck gold. It was a momentous time for Assam. Those years saw political instability in the once powerful Ahom kingdom torn apart by bitter internal strife. Besides, 3 successive invasions by the Burmese had completely devastated this wondrous land. The British Army defeated the Burmese and drove them out of Assam, and through the Treaty of Yandabo on 24 February 1826, they brought Assam under the British rule. W.R. Gawthorpe, The author of the History of Assam Railway and Trading Company said, "When Assam first came under British rule, it possessed four great assets: land, rivers, forests and minerals, all awaiting development. However, the availability of labor, another important asset, particularly for the development of the plantation industry, was a major problem. The Royal Commission on Labour, which had visited Assam much later, made the following observation, quote, "From the point of view of the employer, the outstanding problem during the whole history of tea planting in Assam has been the scarcity of labor. Where the bulk of the tea gardens stand today, 70 years ago was uncultivated and nearly uninhabited jungle, and for the expansion of the industry, it has been necessary continuously to import fresh labor," unquote. But the local labor was neither found satisfactory nor were available in plenty. Consequently, the tea planters had to depend on the unscrupulous contractors of Calcutta, who would recruit labor in the impoverished tribal areas of Bengal, Bihar, Chota Nagpur and other places with false hopes and promises of high salaries and entice them to migrate to Assam. Although the tea garden workers had migrated from different parts of India with their own distinct cultural and traditional backgrounds, there was wonderful assimilation of these varied cultures as they started living peacefully together. It's a unique example of total integration of diverse cultures. Unlike elsewhere in the country, the tea workers of Assam have developed an emotional integration with the land and its people and have become an indispensable part of the Assamese society. They feel their lives inseparably linked with the fate of Assam. Quote, "Assam morile, Hamarao morbo. If Assam dies, so shall we," unquote. They had once left their hearth and home to come to Assam in search of better living, since in their own land they had suffered a lot of sorrows and faced unspeakable adversities. Chal Mini, Assam jabo, deshe boro dukhare. Mini, let's go to Assam. It's a miserable life in our land.
আরো পাইব বলে বসে আছো কেনে বন্ধুয়ে তোরাইতে কেনে বন্ধুয়ে তোরাইতে কেনে কি আরো পাইব বলে বসে আছো কেনে বন্ধুয়ে তোরাইতে কেনে বন্ধুয়ে তোরাইতে কেনে।
After the hard day's work in the evening, they would sit around a small fire and would sing the tales of their woes and sufferings to the tune of the Madol, a tribal drum, and would dance to the rhythm of Jhumur. Jhumur's resounding music, notwithstanding its melancholy note, has always been close to the hearts of the tea garden workers. Jhumur, however, has many variations, depending on the places of their origin. As the poet says, quote, "Our sweetest songs are those that tell of the saddest thoughts," unquote. Like the blues of the black Americans, these Jhumur songs were sonorous and yet fraught with sadness.
ইয়া দেখি বকুল
হয়েছে আগা ডায়রি রে ইয়া দেখিব কোলা पंखा डोलाई रे या देखिब कोला पंखा डोला.
The most important festivals of the tea garden communities are Tusu, Sohrai and Karam Puja, which are expressive of the rich culture and deep social sensitivity of these colorful people. Despite being a happy mingling of diverse tribes, they have retained the distinct traits of their respective cultures and yet have become metamorphosed to a unique tea tribe who share common traditions. Tusu is observed on the Makar Sankranti day of the month of Posh. It is more of a remembrance day of Tusu. There are several stories associated with the origin of Tusu, but the most plausible one is that Tusu was a beautiful girl born in a tribal family of Bengal. The Nawab, the Muslim ruler of Bengal, was captivated by her beauty and desperately tried to marry her. But Tusu was not inclined to sacrifice her tribal heritage and religion, and to protect her chastity and religion, she sacrificed her life by jumping into the river. The simple tribals could not forget her sacrifice, and to keep her memory alive, started worshipping her as a goddess. This festival is entirely women-centric and all arrangements are made by women. Young virgin girls prepare the altar round which women assemble and sing the glory of Tusu throughout the night. Sometimes a small idol of Tusu is also made, and at the end of the festival it is immersed in the river. Songs and dances are the integral parts of the festival. Karam Puja, which is celebrated in the month of Bhado, on the other hand, is based on a legend of two brothers, Dharam and Karam. It's a festival where religion and culture are inseparably mingled. People believe that if Karam is worshipped with devotion, all hopes and desires are fulfilled. The legend associated with Karam, called Kohni, is related by a senior person in course of the Karam Puja. But even here, the leading role is played by women who are called Karmatis, who make all the preparations with utmost devotion. Apart from the religious rituals at the end of the puja, the Karmatis dance and sway to the tune of various tribal musical instruments and let their hair down. Tea workers have adopted many local festivals of Assam and observe these every year. They have also made immense contribution to the Assamese music culture and above all Assamese literature and have become an integral part of the greater Assamese society. With the passage of time, many changes have come about in their lives and the style of their music, but they have not given up their original culture and traditions, which still hold sway.
আষাঢ় শ্রাবণ মাসে ঘরে ঘরে গরু বাঁধেলে শোন ভাদর কে সোনর পায়ে থাম খোঁজনিল শ্রাবণ ভাদর চলি গে শোন ভাদর কে সোনর পায়ে থাম খোঁজনিল শ্রাবণ ভাদর চলি গে
ভাদর
গাল মাংলে দিছি না হতো না ফুলালি শিকার ঘর ভিতর রহলেছু পায়ে পাম সজনিল শাওন ভাদর চলি গেল ঘর ভিতর রহলিছু পায়ে পাম সজনিল শাওন ভাদর চলি।
In Nagaland, deep in the forest of Kingpuli, stands a giant cliff in whose heart is a fascinating cave. The natives of the nearest village of Supu under Noklak district call its cavity Piulinka, a combination of three words. Piu, Ling and Ka. Piu means bats, Ling means dwelling and Ka means cave. The name was given by locals as bats can be found dwelling in the cave.
The magnificent abdomen of the Piulinka cave is filled with stalagmite and stalactite, indicating how ancient it is. The enchanting cave looks as though it is perfectly polished and well cleansed. The entrance of the cavity is narrow, but as one walks further in, the cave widens into a passage with tall walls of rocks on either side. Let us now hear from Tangso T. Kemyungan, Vice President of Saupu Students' Union, and know more about Piulinka Cave.
Piulinka, it was first known as Mongthamga, for it was discovered by our great-grandfather named Mongtham. Once, while he was out hunting in forest called Gingpu, he happened to saw a large number of pates flying in and out in the cliff, and out of curiosity he went there to inquire, and unknowingly he discovered the cave. And now in the present days it is called as Piulinka, which means bats dwelling cave. The villagers have been hunting bats in the cave till date, and we can see the bridge-like structure which was actually built by Mongtham in order to catch bats at the top of the entrance, which is 40 feet and above in height. It was during the time of headhunting the villagers kept the cave as a secret from the neighboring villagers and use it as a hideout from the enemy's invasion. But after the coming of Christianity, and once the practice of headhunting stopped, the cave is no more a secret hideout and it is open to the outside world. Though no exact measurement has been done, it is said to be about 300 feet in length, 30 feet wide, and around 100 feet in height.
In order to reach the cave, one must take a trek of 3 hours long from the village, crossing deep virgin forests, hills and slopes, but all tiredness and sweat pays off once the person steps into the magnificent Piulinka. These days, the cave has been preserved and protected by the village councils and the students' union, but is open for adventure-seeking tourists. Also, according to the villagers, there are many more caves which are yet to be disclosed to the outside world. For Northeast Diary, with Chow Lam Nhu, this is Afanyo, Akashvani News, Kohima.
Meghalaya was invited to be a participant in the Cities in Transition Biennial 2023 in Grenoble, France, from June 8 to 11th as a part of Cities in Transition Network. A report.
A delegation led by Agriculture Minister Amparing Lingdo and officials of the Government of Meghalaya and a group of food production entrepreneur, agroecology practitioners and skilled craftspersons attended the Cities in Transition Biennial 2023 held in Grenoble, France from June 8 to June 11. The whole city Grenoble was adjudged the Green Capital of Europe in 2022. The representatives from the network cities were invited to engage in discussions and interact with each other. The second edition of the biennial was earlier held in March 2019, where several themes were discussed such as urban agriculture, responsible economy, mobility, energy transition, housing and quality of life, etc. The event is part of the Cities in Transition Network, a platform to learn best practices from a cohort of 50 plus cities from around the world and address challenges in economic, ecological, social and democratic transitions. The event, which was organized by the City Council of Grenoble, discussed issues such as mobility, the management of public spaces, as well as social, economic and ecological transitions through the medium of workshops, conferences, meetings and other activities. The need to strengthen alliances between civil society and local government was a key message shared across different events in the biennial. The delegation from the Meghalaya attended several conferences and discussions that included subjects of women's rights, sustainable tourism, climate change, and citizen engagement. In addition, Shillong was also represented in a panel discussion on ecological agricultural practices, where conversations about Meghalaya's activities in the field were brought to the audience. The Meghalaya panel shared learnings and best practices in natural farming and agroecology practices currently being taken up both by government departments as well associated agencies and individuals in the state. The NES FARS project supported under CLLMP was represented by its chairman, who shared insights on food systems and traditional farming practices in Meghalaya. Further, the officers of the Agriculture Department and the Meghalaya State Rural Livelihood Society shared current interventions under the Organic Mission and Natural Farming Practices by SHGs. The officials, participants and entrepreneurs were exposed to dialogues and best practices from across the world, especially in understanding how other cities and communities were engaging with transitions to more sustainable and ecologically sensitive modes of agriculture. Additionally, aspects of nutrition and food security were also discussed, and new perspectives from panelists were brought to light from fellow delegations from other countries. Agriculture Minister Amparin Lingdo, who led the delegation, also addressed the organizers and participants by highlighting the government of Meghalaya's continued efforts to engage with communities and diverse stakeholders to ensure joint coordination and success of all initiatives.
My recent trip to France was a trip where we actually engaged actively with partners in the farming sector. The government of France, through the External Affairs Ministry, has allowed for the participation of the state of Meghalaya in the Grenoble Mart, where our farmers were taken along with us. We had 2 weavers, 2 winemakers, 2 members representing the farmers group. We also had a person representing us from climate change aspect of farming practices from NESFAS. And these members who went along with me to France were truly exposed to some very good practices. The Grenoble meet was a meet where we were able to also communicate efficiently with first world countries which are doing very well in engaging in farming practices that were going to be taking into consideration climate change. So it was also linked to climate change. And this meeting in Grenoble has given our farmers a true exposure. They were able to understand marketing. They were able to understand how do you design products, how do you also design the packaging of products, how do we sell these products, where do we get our buyers, who are these buyers, what are the kinds of expectations that foreign buyers have from our market. For example, the number one point that was being asked constantly in Grenoble meet was, are your products organic? That's the first thing that was asked. So therefore, this immediate interaction of our farmers with them gave them a clear indicator that yes, in order to be able to achieve international standards, these are the things that you have to do. How do you package your products? How do you collaborate with clusters? Because farming in the state of Meghalaya is done in individual lands, individual farmers. Now it's all small scale farming. How do we ensure that farmers understand the concept of having a cluster approach? Because if individual farmers come forward to package their goods and materials, it's going to be very difficult for them to meet the market expectations. They have to clear so many lines of expectations. For example, how efficiently have you done your work? How good are you with your marketing? Are you getting enough in your return? Are you having a good return in terms of profit? Is it a profitable, engaged marketing practice, farming practice? So now all of this we've brought back to the state, and these will be our ambassadors who will go forward and explain to their other farmer friends that this is something that we have to do. Are you also making sure that your quality control is there? Are you making sure that your shelf life of products and produces met? Have you undertaken the most profitable lines of packaging of your produce? Are you doing the right thing? So this is something which, if we do at a regular time period, will be good for farmers. After all, the state of Meghalaya is predominantly agrarian. And because we are an agricultural practicing state and people, we have to encourage our farmers that you can always have a good farming practice. There is a misconception in the public that we have to leave our farming practices because it's not profitable. But then again, can we afford that? Does the government have the wherewithal to ensure that all of these who leave their farming practices and get into new practices, will they sustain themselves? Will it yield good results? So all of this was something that we discussed. We also discussed a lot of other things related to packaging. We also discussed, other things like how does your urban city look like? Are you going to have more spaces for agriculturing practices to ensure that the pollution and other things also do not play a part and add to the spoil of products? So this was all something that was very well done, and we had a fantastic exposure.
The delegation also deliberated upon the possibilities of coordination, partnerships and knowledge exchange between the cities of Shillong and Grenoble with the mayor of Grenoble. Going forward, the intention of the government is to continue a dialogue with the cities of the network and establish new ties of friendship and collaboration to benefit the people of Meghalaya. Through the efforts of the Government of Meghalaya and the Office of the Consul General of France in India, this event was an opportunity for Shillong city and the state as a whole to bolster its international ties and boost opportunities for knowledge-sharing collaboration. This is Priyam Chatterjee with Lam Frang Non Spang for Northeast Diary from AIR News, Shillong. The delegation also deliberated upon the possibilities of coordination, partnerships and knowledge exchange between the cities of Shillong and Grenoble with the mayor of Grenoble. Going forward, the intention of the government is to continue a dialogue with the cities of the network and establish new ties of friendship and collaboration to benefit the people of Meghalaya. Through the efforts of the Government of Meghalaya and the Office of the Consul General of France in India, this event was an opportunity for Shillong city and the state as a whole to bolster its international ties and boost opportunities for knowledge-sharing collaboration. This is Priyam Chatterjee with Lam Prang Nong Spang for Northeast Diary from AIR News, Shillong.
And now listen to this delightful Adi song from Arunachal Pradesh.
Katola melamlo no bursiru eko Katola ye illo ngombe paru eko Katola melamlo no bursiru eko Katola ye illo ngombe paru eko.
With that, we have come to the end of this edition of Northeast Diary. Do join us next week to hear more stories from this enchanting part of India. Until then, bye-bye.
No me ngokka me pana, no me ngokka talena, no me ngokka ayana, tu yar ye ngokka ye namlo. Lako bhar kutti do kul, lako mil sik toy, lako dak kutti do kul, lako lupo sik toy, no me ngokka ye bom nama.
This program was scripted and presented by Lucy G. Chattopadhyay, produced by Vinita Thakur with assistance from Kumar Gaurav. It was brought to you by the News Services Division of Akashvani.